Python variable names. What you must know. Before Python understands your data, it must understand what you named it. So let's learn how to name variables properly. Think of variable as a name for a piece of data. Python stores whatever you assigned after the equal sign. I am giving the value of 30 a name. The name is age. Python now knows to remember 30 as age. All variable names must start with alphabetical characters. Underscores are allowed, so here you can see underscore score. You can see name. This is valid. Starting with a number at the beginning is not valid. So this will not work, so you can see I can run this successfully. But when I try and run this, it will fail. It says invalid decimal literal. So you cannot start with a number for a variable name. So here starting with 2 breaks the rule. And you can see Python shows a syntax error. You can include numbers at the end of the variable, but they cannot be at the beginning. You can use underscores in the middle of variable names, or you can also use them at the beginning. You cannot use dashes. So here my score is invalid, and you cannot use spaces between your variable names. So spaces are not allowed. So if I run the top one, you can see this works fine. It is success, but if I run this, we will get a syntax error. So Python really gets confused with these. So just avoid spaces and dashes as these will cause errors. Python treats names exactly as typed. So here car all lowercase, car with the uppercase C, car all in uppercase. These are 3 different variables. So case matters in Python. Uppercase, lowercase, mixed case. These would be treated exactly as you typed. They are different, so if I run this, you can see we all have 3 different values because these are 3 different variables. You cannot use reserved keywords in Python. If is a reserved keyword because if is used for a logic like the if statement and must not be used as a variable name. If I run this, you will see we get syntax error. You can use camel case where the first letter is lowercase. So this part is lowercase and next words are capitalized. So the very first one always starts with a lowercase. Then the next word, the first letter of it is capital. So this is camel case. You can use Pascal case where each word is capitalized. So you can use my with M capitalized. Variable with V capitalized. Snake case where everything is lowercase, but words are separated by an underscore. And this is known as snake case. I would pick one style and stick with that style. Python assigning multiple variables. Watch how I create 3 variables in one line instead of 3. This code here works, but Python lets us do this faster. We are repeating the equal sign multiple times here, which is unnecessary. But you can write it like this. All your variable names comma separated with 1 equal sign. And the values are comma separated. This only takes 1 line, but this takes multiple lines. So if I run this, this works fine. And if I run this, this also works fine. So we get the same result, but in fewer lines. This is another example. You can see these values are paired by position. Left to right. So moving from x all the way to z. So x gets the value of 10. Y gets the value of 20. And z finally gets 30. So first value over here goes to the first variable. Second value to the second variable. Third to the third variable. So the order matters. And you must have same number of values and same number of variables. Python matches them in the order that you specify here. So if I run this, you can see the same number. While I run the same number of variables, the output is expected. This code here will fail. The values are 3 when you count them. So this is the first, second, third. And here we only have 2 variables. Running this will cause value error. Too many values to unpack. Expected 2. So what it's saying is you've got 2 variables but 3 values. The count on the left of the equal sign must match the count on the right. If you have 3 on left, you must have 3 values on the right. And vice versa. What if all variables should start the same? So one value can fill many variables. 0 here will be filled for x, y, and z. This is useful for default values. So you only have to change it here and all variables get the same. So this is quicker. Python copies the 0 value into each variable. Although this is same that z is equal to 0, y is equal to z, this is still a value type because integers here in Python are value types. So by changing x, it doesn't change the value of y or z. So here you can see x changes to 5, but y and z are the same. Z stays 0. So they are still separate variables because integers are immutable in Python and cannot change. Unpacking a collection into variables. This line pulls values out of a collection automatically. This is a tuple. A tuple is essentially a comma-separated values object. So this object has multiple items in it. Tuples are immutable in Python. It means they cannot change. So here we have a variable that is equal to this tuple. We can unpack the values from this tuple into multiple variables, essentially splitting them out. This is a very common pattern in Python. The number of items here must match the number of variables here. So left side here must equal the right side. In this case, right side is this variable which has 1, 2, 3 items in it. So the variables here must be 1, 2, and 3. Order does matter. So the value of 100 gets allocated to A, 200 to B, 300 to C. This is called unpacking. So if I run this, you can see the output that we get. A has the value of 100, B has 200, and C has 300. List or tuple, Python treats them the same here. So you can also unpack a list similar to how you unpack a tuple. Again, the same number of values are required within your list. So this here must match the number of values. The variables count and the values count must match. Again, if I run this, you can see the output of 1, 2, 3 respectively. So here these values have to match. These two values have mapped across and been unpacked correctly. Same rule as a tuple over here applies to lists. You will get the same results. You will see these two patterns around unpacking. Whether tuples or lists, a lot in Python, these two patterns will appear again and again. Just remember the number of values must match. So here I have one less value than the variables. This will cause an error. Here you can see not enough values. So to resolve this error, add the third value and run the code again. Python outputting variables with print. Want Python to show what your program remembers? Let's make Python speak. Over here, I have a variable called value. This variable holds the data hello. The word hello print statement can print this variable. Running this code prints what the variable holds. In this case, it holds hello. Therefore, we get the printout hello. The same in this instance. You have a variable called message. It has a value of high Python. Printing the variable will output high Python. So now you see the output high Python from the print statement. Want to print multiple statements on one line? Use commas. Here, if I run this, you can see we get the output learn Python coming from this variable and this variable, comma automation. It automatically adds a space in between learn and Python. So just by having a comma here, it will add a space. You don't have to have a space here. It will not affect the output. Having multiple spaces does not output multiple spaces here. It is the comma that actually adds the space. Commas keep things tidy and the output is on one line. You can concatenate variables with the plus operator. It does not add spaces like the comma does automatically. So you have to manually add a space. This will let you glue together exactly how you want your output to be. You can add multiple spaces, for instance. So it would appear like this. Unlike the comma, which adds one space by default. You can use the plus operator to add the values of two numbers. Here you get the output 15. With numbers, the plus automatically adds the numbers together mathematically. This is different to string joining. So when you have strings, it will concatenate them. But when you have numbers, it will add them. You cannot use the plus operator to add a number and a string. This will not concatenate them. It will cause an error, because you've got a number that is being added to a string. But what you can do if you want to concatenate them? Because these are mixed types, you can put comma here. This will output correctly what you expected. 5 days, and you get the space added automatically. Because of this comma. This works even when data types are different. Commas are your friend when mixing text and numbers together. Plus joins text or adds numbers. But not both. You cannot mix them like this. With the plus operator, commas safely print anything together. That's your go-to for beginners. Python, what are global variables? Ever wondered how a value you define once can be seen and used everywhere in your Python program? Let's unlock that. So we are talking about this message variable that you can use across whole Python script. Global variables are defined outside of any function. They are accessible in functions, and outside of them is shown here. So here we have defined message outside the function, but inside the greet function and after it, it prints fine. If I run this, you can see we get hello world from inside the function and hello world outside the function. So here we have value variable. This is outside function, and we also have value inside the function. Running this code, we will get the output inside the function. We get the value 200. Outside the function, we get the value 100. Inside the function, we printed 200. That's the local version. Outside, we still see 100. This is the global version. So when executing from inside function, the local variable shadows the global one. So it has a bigger shadow that makes the other one disappear. And it takes precedence over the global one. Python global keyword explained. Global creates variable at global scope if not already there. It allows code inside function to make a new global variable. Notice we did not define x before we wrote global x. So now x exists globally. By running this code, you can see that the print statement outside of the make var function is able to access the s variable even though it's within the function. You can see here we got the output by the print statement of popcorn. Global also lets you update a variable that's been defined outside of a function. So here you can see count is outside the function, but by using global count we are able to access and update the count variable within the function. So remember to use global inside a function to create a global variable, or if a variable of the same name already exists, the ability to access it within the function and update it. What are data types in Python? Ever wondered how Python knows that 42 is a number, but galaxy is text? Data types in Python tell what kind of data a value is. So here we have value 100, and this is an integer. We have galaxy as string, and you can see it is of type string. Variables get their type from the value you assign. Here you assign 100 to x, so this will result in integer data type. And here you change the value of x to galaxy, and this becomes string. You can use the type function to check what type you have. The type function takes in a parameter and this Parameter is used to work out what your variable type is. In Python, every variable's value has a type. Tells Python how to treat the data. Numbers versus text. Python knows them apart automatically. So you do not have to tell Python what type of data you have. For example, here this is string type. And you can see here it is string. Text is inside these quotation marks. Next one, we have integers. So 7 is an integer. Integers are whole numbers. This includes positive and negative numbers. Then we have float. Float are decimal numbers. So here 3.5 is a decimal. And this is known as a float in Python. Finally, you have complex numbers. Complex numbers are real plus imaginary. And this is a complex data type. Text uses quotation marks. Numbers do not need quotation marks around them. If you put quotation marks around them, they will be treated as text by Python. If I change this 7 to text by adding quotation marks like this, you will see the output we get will change from int to a string. I am going to run this, and you can see the output is string, just because I've added quotation marks around the number 7. What are sequence types in Python? Want to group values? Python has sequence types. Here the first one in the square brackets is a list type. A list type is ordered. So that means the order that you put the elements in, the output will be the same. They are changeable, so you can change any of the values within a list. Couples are with the round brackets or parentheses. These are ordered, so they stay in the same order you add them but are not changeable. They cannot be changed, the values within your tuple. And then we have range. Range gives you a sequence of numbers which you can loop through one by one. Just remember lists can change. The values can be changed. Couples, the values inside cannot be changed. Lists and tuples are ordered. So both of them will keep the elements in the order you add them. Square brackets. Brackets is the differentiator between a tuple and a list. So lists are square brackets. Couples are round brackets. What are mapping and set types in Python? Some types store pairs or unique group of values. Dictionary is the one that stores pairs of values. So you have a key and a value. So K over here is the key and 10 is the value. And you can continue to expand this as key to and value if that would be 20. So this is important, a colon to separate key from value and comma to separate different pairs. Then you have a set. A set is unique unordered values. A set can be changed by adding in more values or removing them. And this is a set, so main purpose is unique unordered value. The order that you put the values in is not necessarily the order you want to get them out. You cannot use indexes. Frozen sets are like set, but they cannot be changed. Once you add elements in them, you cannot add or remove them. They are frozen. Dictionaries are like labels. You are giving values labels. And sets remove duplicates. One is modifiable and the other is not. Notice here between the set, they all use these curves. You can see that the set has curly braces, but with frozen set, you also use the round parentheses. So you do not have to specify a class for a set. It is purely determined by these curly braces. While with frozen set, you do need to specify the class name and put the parentheses. Notice how all of them, these mapping and set types, have curly braces. The only difference that Python can use to determine which is by adding a set or by looking at how you have structured the data that you've supplied. If you have used a colon, then it is a dictionary. If you have used commas, it is a set. And if you have used the class name, then it is a frozen set.